I call Keith Locke.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The Green Party will be supporting this bill to select committee. Whether we support it beyond that will depend on whether at the select committee it's proved that there is a real need for such a bill, and how to handle some of the downsides of the bill that have already been explained, including by the previous speaker, Darian Fenton. The bill seeks to codify practices that already exist in unions to conduct secret ballots before engaging in industrial actions. And in order to promote a legislative framework for this, and as Darian Fenton says, an army of bureaucrats and all the rest involved in the work of a voluntary organisation, and unions are voluntary organisations, you have to provide a reason. What is the problem that now exists that requires such legislative intervention? We don't make laws just for the sake of it. Sometimes the National goes on about a nanny state. Well, this would be a nanny state if we're enacting a law for no good reason. And I think that Tohanari in his introduction has indicated what lies behind this. He talks about the need to protect people from intimidation and things of that manner, without providing a single bit of evidence, and there hasn't been a single bit provided by any of the National Party speakers, of intimidation in the current political situation. Essentially what it's doing, this bill and the talk around it, without providing any evidence, is creating a prejudicial attitude towards unions, and to soften up unions and workers for more attacks on them, and create a public climate where they find it more difficult to resist these attacks. And David Bennett talked about an ulterior motive for going on strike. It's quite clear that when workers take the decision, democratic decision as they do, to go on strike, they are thinking and canvassing all the issues, because nobody voluntarily takes a reduction in income for nothing. There are also other negative problems associated with this bill, and that they've been brought to light by unions such as the Service and Food Workers Union, that already sometimes employers try and take injunctions against unions to either prevent or slow up industrial action, to put unions off their stride and say, well, you're not obeying this union rule or that union rule. The more you put a legislative framework into the situation, the more likely it is for employers to try and use injunctions and saying, according to this law, you didn't conduct the ballots quite right, and were all the members informed, and all the rest of it. And I think it is right, as Darian Fenton points out, that it is in the context of more industrial action because of government policy, like the Department of Justice workers, the court workers in the Department of Justice, who went on a whole rolling series of industrial actions over the last 6 months, finally won their dispute, but because the government wasn't giving enough to the Justice Department to pay the court workers properly. And the bill doesn't address the other side of the equation, that is employer lockouts, as has been pointed out, and we would address this at the Select Committee, and it would help us determine whether we support the bill beyond that. There should be a procedure to stop lockouts, and there have been very damaging lockouts, dairy industry and whatnot recently, that have hurt workers and hurt employers. And in this day of computer technology, it wouldn't be at all problematic to email each shareholder of a company, each member of the board, and say, do you support this lockout, and give the reasons and argue it out and have a debate over the email or in some form or a special meeting, and secret ballots of shareholders before workers are ever locked out. It is possible at the moment, most lockouts are done autocratically by the CEO, and even the board is not informed or brought in fully into the discussion in most cases. So with those few words, the Green Party will be supporting this bill to select committee, but conditional on a proper justification being provided to it and alterations being made.